What is going on, everybody? Welcome into a live stream edition of the North End podcast. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. It's been about 24 hours since we last convened here on the pod. Big news. Austin FC has waived Emiliano Rigoni. We will talk about what that means going forward here for everybody's favorite team. And I know the answer just as I did yesterday, but I'll ask you as I always do, how you feeling tonight, my friend?
Look, man, we knew it was coming at some point. If it was the contract being played out or we were going to throw some money at this to get him off the books. But when it came, it just hit me. And I was like, holy shit, like some real moves are being made. We're getting ready for the grand feast. It's being all set up. The appetizers are coming in. This is it's shocking right now, to be honest. I mean, like we talked about the numbers. We're going to get into it some more, do the salary cap, all that good stuff and everything. I apologize if you hear some Moochie action on the stream. He is also quite animated about this waiver issue that we have going on here with Rigoni.
Yeah, man. And I see all of our good buddies piling in here. See Lobar there. See Guillermo there. Yeah, probably. I think that percentage is a little short. Maybe take that one up a little bit. Supposed to be joined at some point, new father, very busy man in the first place. But Hernan from We Are Austin TV said he's going to pop in on the stream, give his take, some perspective on this. I imagine some excitement because that's what I got, man. I mean, let's just get into it. Okay. Yeah. So Tom Bogert tweets out. Let's get the actual timestamp on this. Less than an hour ago, right? 56 minutes ago, 7:40 p.m. tonight, says Austin FC has placed DP winger Emiliano Rigoni on waivers. Sources told Paul Tenorio and Bogert. Rigoni signed for $4 million in 2022, failed to make his mark. 6 goals, 6 assists in 58 appearances. The Emiliano Rigoni era ends. So I guess let's just talk about the player and the man, I think, for a second on his way out, because I was thinking about this when we got the news. Both you and I were both taking our respective pups out for a walk. So obviously group chats. I think, first of all, it was Paul right in the group chat says Rigoni out. I thought he was joking. Yeah. So I just sent some random response that had nothing to do with it. And then he sends the Bogert tweet. And where my thoughts went on the walk after the initial excitement of what this means, I think, for the roster and for the second half of the season, final third of the season, rather. I could never say anything bad about Rigoni from what I know about him, outside of just being a frustrated fan and his lack of production. He seemed like everybody liked him, seemed like a great guy. And I hope he finds maybe some more happiness in his next stop, wherever that ends up being. So I have nothing bad to say about the guy, again, outside of just the lack of production that's frustrating for fans whenever that happens for a high-paid player.
Yeah, I mean, after the initial wave of emotion, seeing that, getting that information from Paul, and then being able to be like, holy smokes, like, here we are. We've gotten to this point. I definitely went there as well. And, like, if you've been a fan of this club since he's gotten here, at some point in time, you've definitely taken some sort of shot at Rigoni, you've made some sort of statement about how he's not living up to the expectation that we had for him. I mean, we all have. And like, it's definitely not fair to put the entirety. He's not the scapegoat for the entire failures that this club has had over the course of our time here as Austin FC fans. And to your point, we never heard anything bad about the guy. And it just wasn't being able to produce.
Breaking news. Sorry, E. Breaking news. Emiliano Rigoni had a fucking auto trigger. Tom Bogert reporting.
Wait, what?
On that note, I don't want to leave my guy hanging here because he's been sitting patiently as we, say nice things about Rigoni. Hernan in the building, reading that tweet, I imagine, from Tom Bogert. Emiliano Rigoni had a clause in which his contract for 2025 auto-triggered if he made 12 appearances in 2024. He was on 11, hence the timing why Austin waived him. Now,
what?
H, your take, my friend. You're on mute right now, sir. But whenever you can get that unmuted, here we go.
Ooh, wow. Well, obviously, guys, I mean, just like you and everybody else that's tuned into this stream, this news is just hitting us 100%. And the fact that now we have the information that he was on 11 appearances, it was an auto trigger if he made 12. I mean, wow, that's just, I mean, that kind of just puts the final nail in the coffin, because I'm seeing some conversation on, oh, wait, hold on, pump the brakes. Another team still has to come after this guy. If nobody else picks him up, he still counts against Austin FC's salary cap charge. But with this stat, it means that if there's one more appearance from Emiliano Rigoni, there's an auto trigger. Austin's done with this guy. Just buyouts coming.
Gone.
If nobody gets him, buyouts coming. Wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
We were talking about the auto triggers on the last episode, and you made up that, you know, very sophisticated and classy joke, like if you ripped like 15 farts in the locker room, but playing 12 games automatically gets you renewed. And
12.
we were wondering we wondered about G and was like, what could have possibly triggered him jumping up to $1 million if there was some sort of incentive based language in his contract? And like, maybe it was, hey, score 3 goals and we're going to give you $1 million, because this is just, I mean, this is Reyna stuff. This is ridiculous. Playing 12 games as your DP, that's the baseline.
Yeah.
And it's also crazy that none of that information got out, because then we would have known instantly, like this had to have been coming, like the guillotine was coming if we saw that he had played in 11 games up until this point. That's wild. So that's why he didn't get any time yesterday or
and I imagine along the way here.
Yeah.
When he's been held out.
This also explains the ring maybe auto trigger that we saw in the past. Maybe it was one of these, you know, short count games. Could Alex Ring, you know, gotten the same kind of low number? Hey, play 10 games and you get automatically ringed. I mean, 12 games, that's insane. But it really just shows how cutthroat, how savage Rodolfo Borrell is starting. I don't know if it's starting to be, or how he really is how he's always been. He kind of showed us with the whole Diego stuff, and now we're seeing this with Emmy. It's just breaking news, man. Breaking news.
So real quick, E.
Also, let's talk about the mess that this man inherited, I guess, is getting larger and larger at this point, because if that was literally the trigger to get him another full year at a DP level contract, that is absolutely insane. Yeah. So now I kind of want to pivot here, because what we were going to talk about was waivers, right? And what that actually meant. Hernan kind of alluded to it, where teams essentially can waive players. There's a 48-hour period that will start tomorrow where I believe teams can claim Rigoni, and then there may be some sort of bidding process. I think I saw Landon Cottam before he ran with Jeremiah to record Moon Tower tonight, saying that there's something in there about teams can bid about how much of the budget charge they want to take on, and then the rest would be nailed to us. But ultimately this will be a buyout, like Hernan said, regardless of him being picked up by another team or us, or him going through waivers completely and becoming a free agent. Then we will have to use a buyout on the player. So I think this is going to be a buyout unless some team picks him up, which we can break some news here on the North End Podcast Live. Nobody's picking up Emiliano Rigoni. And man, if I have to eat crow on that tomorrow, I'll laugh about it and be surprised. But I think he's probably on his way out of the league. Anything else for you guys first on that? On a team not picking him up?
Yeah, or just like the waivers, the buyout, right? Because now I want to get to the cap sheets and figure out how many more guys do we have left on Claudio contracts who might have this bullshit in there.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, H.
I have a bit of maybe a question, or kind of going off of our next theory, or our next thing to maybe think about. Before this second tweet that Tom Bogert just put out, where we know why we didn't see Emmy in that win, why at 11 he was stopped before getting to that 12. I thought maybe Rodolfo Borrell had a player already lined up, ready to give him that DP spot. But now this tells me that it was, oh no, we're doing it right now because we can't risk playing this guy and then automatically renewed. So it's kind of pumping the brakes just a bit for me, saying, okay, maybe we don't have somebody lined up in the chamber necessarily, but at least we know that Rodolfo Borrell is now getting ready to execute whatever plan he has, and he's going to free up that space, free up that spot. So that's just a bit of a breath for me, a little bit of breath of fresh air.
That's actually a really great point, because one of the first things I said in some text to somebody that we were talking about all of this going down was like, okay, so this is the implication like of who is now coming, but you see this type of language and it's like, okay, no, we had to get out of this. And right before we brought you on, H, I was trying to give Rigoni some flowers for his time here and things along of that nature. And look, for him to have that in his contract, he had to know this was coming. So to
they had to all know that, right?
Had to have known this was coming. So to like still be a professional throughout your time here, get us a win versus Houston. Thank you for that. As much as we have all anticipated this is about the best ending goodbye that we could possibly have with Rigoni.
Does that explain a little bit of him being so like muted when he scored? And then like after the game, you look at the picture of the guys kind of dancing in front of the away supporter section. He's just in the back, like looking sad.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to have to handle like that, but you got to be professional, and it seems like he did that.
Nobody really saw it coming. Nobody really saw it. You can say that okay, Austin FC was that they had Rigoni as a candidate for the buyout, right? You could say that 100%. Anybody could have had that take. But the fact that it comes right now when the team is kind of doing good, my next question is this going to affect anybody in the locker room? Is this going to break any kind of friendship? We know that he was close to, Seba. Is this going to maybe affect Seba in any kind of way? Or is Seba also, kind of maybe coming around to this circle, kind of closing out and saying, hey, I'm still here, Rigoni, my friend, best of luck to you, right? But I still have a job to do. And right now the team is in such a good moment, is in such good form that something like this, even though Emmy is maybe not, as an important figure as other guys right now, he still has been there for a long time. So he has relationships in this locker room. Oh, yeah. It's news to the fan base, but I'm sure maybe players knew about it, but now it's, official, it's headlines, it's news. I'm wondering where the players are at with this also.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I hope it's more the latter. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I hope that everyone in that locker room understands, because the shot across the bow already came from Roto with the Diego move and all of that stuff going on, and as well as being like, look, nobody here is safe. We have to get better. We have to improve this roster. But yeah, I think that's a really good point. And for him to play it out the way that he did, and for someone like Seba to be his friend, be invested in that. But like at the end of the day, it just never translated to the field. And we're not in the business of having dudes who are good friends in the locker room. We're in the business of winning soccer games here. So like it's again, I just feel like this is the best way it could have gone out for him. Like had the winner versus Houston, had some contributions and everything, and like just be able to get out of this, knowing that there was literally nothing we could do. It was either we're going to have you on next year, you're on the books and all that shit. So it's like, it was there. The writing was on the wall.
Ultimately, we just can't do that, right? To your point, like the business is about winning games here. And I would think that Seba and everybody in that locker room, I would hope that they are able to separate that from the emotions of, like H said, like there's a lot of relationships there. And to what we've all kind of been saying, like I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Rigoni, again, outside of just like he doesn't do enough. He doesn't produce enough for our favorite team. Yeah. So I think that's a great point by H there.
And being in this good form should lead to you being like, okay, we've had to move on from this guy. This is a business. This is how this stuff works. And now the job is not finished. Let's keep moving forward.
Wanted to check in just on the chat here, because I know we've got a lot of people chiming in. Kevin's joking. How much is the price of a beer going to go up to pay for this buyout? It's a good question. Yeah, Paul of the Verde Pin and devastated La Playa never made it to Austin. 24-hour window. Yeah, for waivers, I think it's 48. Just couldn't cut it as a DP. Yeah. Be in here, North End Pirate. Yeah, those auto triggers, man. Again, I want to look at the roster here in a second and see if we can maybe figure out who could possibly have that. Because again, I don't think that's going into these roto contracts, right? Like none of us think that.
No.
Yeah, Thomas in here. Good
Insane.
to see Thomas. Yep.
Playing 12 games as a DP, man. Like,
yep.
That maybe I'm not as familiar up to date with like how some of these other contracts look, but that is just absolutely insane to me.
Well, I just think
it's half a season.
In a vacuum, you could give Claudio that grace, but over what we know about his roster building ability, I just think it's
in the end, which I mean, the end is also kind of near for him. I know he's going to still be an Austin FC player. We might not ever see him wear the jersey anymore, which is going to be weird, especially because he was one of the players that was received so well. He was part of him and Valencia. They were part of the Fairmont, whenever they took pictures and the players got out there.
Right? I remember Bali saying, we were all saying that, right? After Bali started it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember that. And now, he's actually gone. Well, he's, soon to be gone, I guess you could say. And it's kind of just forcing me to think about what's to come next, because a guy that was on 6 goals, 6 assists, and 58 appearances, something like that, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough, honestly. And it was about time. I think everybody can come together as Austin FC fans for once. There's one take that everybody can agree on, and it's the fact that Rigoni needed to go. He needed to go. And just like you guys have also been saying, nobody has ever said anything negative about him, maybe other than his output. That was it. Other than that, he was a great locker room guy. He was a great teammate, a great human also. The list goes on. But the fact of the matter is now we have money. We have more money. We have an important space. And Rodolfo Borrell has probably been thinking about doing this for a long time. He's been waiting, and now was the right moment for that. But it's also very important to know what has to happen, because it's not over yet. Somebody has to pick him up, or else we have to use the buyout. What was it, until July 18th? I think that's a huge detail that can't be left out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that to me takes me to the next point of, 15 that I have floating around in my head right now, because it's just spinning from this news, and the auto trigger just throws another wrench into everything, right? What does that say about what we're looking at on the wing right now? Because we still have another 10 games, I think, before we get to that window. 9 or 10. H is looking like I have the wrong number. I probably do, but we still have a stretch, right? Maybe 2 months or so till that window. I think July 20th is the first game that we can expect anybody to play, anybody from that window to play in.
Fire up your CJs.
Yeah.
Fire it up, because
you got to rely a lot more on Finley.
Yep, your time has come, man. Like he's going to get minutes now. He's going to have to, and he's shown out in the time that he has played. He has played very solid. Like he hasn't cost us in any sort of the sense of that word. So like I'm excited for his opportunity, as well as Finley, who's been kind of lost in that mix as we had these different wing players coming in like that. So yeah, this is an opportunity for guys to step up as well, and I think CJ might be the biggest benefactor here.
Now, gentlemen, real question, and I want you to maybe think about it, because in this league, it has proven us time and time again that anything can happen. Is there a team in MLS that would pick up Emiliano Rigoni?
No.
Not a serious one.
No.
I don't think.
Nobody?
So it
would be tough. So go ahead.
No, I was saying, so like with the waiver process, the bidding is based on the percentage of how much of his contract is left, Zach?
What's that?
So in this waiver process that he is now entering, teams are able to bid the percentage amount of his remaining contract.
To be honest, I haven't seen that portion of the rules. I was reading what other people were posting as I was walking the dog.
Okay.
So I don't know about that. What I do know, 48-hour waiver period that begins tomorrow, I believe. And then this part on the screen here that was pointing to what H was saying, right, that this is the buyout. The league is just placing him on waivers before that is executed. So again, that's what.
Yeah, I just don't think anyone's going to do us a favor.
Going to pick him up.
Yeah, no one's going to do us a favor and take some of the money, like allow us to keep or you know what I mean, like get some of this buyout money back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Poor take. Poor take, my fault. Also, Seth says
Okay.
that only 6 teams have an open international spot. And then
Yeah.
Logan says with the auto trigger news, no way anyone picks him up.
Yeah.
So, boom.
Oh,
Question kind of answered right there.
Would that get grandfathered in to that new deal?
I imagine so, because it's the same contract. Again, we would just be on the hook, right? I imagine it comes, but
he's cooked.
It still comes off our books because we're exercising the buyout. They're just again before he's considered a buyout. I think the bid thing, I would have to see the language, right? And I see.
I want to say.
Go ahead, Edge.
I want to say this, bro. Sorry, I wanted to add this in the end because we were talking about CJ, right? We were mentioning CJ. You brought him up. Was the game against Sporting Kansas City maybe the final answer that Rodolfo Borrell needed? Like Emmy didn't see any minutes. Good. Also, he couldn't because that would make 12, right? But the fact that the team played so well, that CJ came in early on. Haddad also played well. Danny also had a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
Could that have been the final factor, the final indicator that told Rolo, you know what? Boom, send it in. Somebody go tell Tom Bogert, tweet it out. Boom, boom, boom. Because it was finally time. It was finally just set in stone that this team didn't need Emmy. And for sure, a lot of people have already thought about that, have already said that in multiple places. But seems like the coaching staff was trying to hold on to this guy, see if they can get anything out of him. They saw it was over. Boom, boom, boom. It's over.
Yeah.
It's the make or break point, really, with that trigger, right? Like this is the time to get out of it. And I do think the emergence of CJ has been great into looking at this from a wider type of lens. But there's the language with all this is so crazy and just trips me out all the time. I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah. Good to see everybody.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah, and this was another thing I was going to say before we get to the roster sheets is that I know he played like the whole Houston match, right? The last 2 kicks I remember from this guy are beating Houston and assisting to beat Houston. I don't know if he got the assist off that corner because it hit Giassi, but like those were the last 2 plays I remember of this guy. So like he went out about at like on as big of a high as I could have imagined, probably.
I also want to say this. In Emmy's defense or credit to Emmy, because I know there are some Emmy fans out there that really wanted it to work out for him. It didn't go his way. I don't know if it was an effort thing. He just didn't seem to ever really connect with the community. I don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
History is there, right? We see it. But one thing, bro, I just lost my freaking train of thought. Somebody save me. Somebody save me.
I got you.
I just had a banger point.
Dude, it's gonna come back to you. Maybe when we go through the roster sheets here, the salary cap sheets that we've got at the northendpodcast.com. You can go there, click on cap sheets, and get access to all of this information in one place. Just looking at the roster spots here now. As Seth and Regulus in the chat mentioned, Emiliano Rigoni out of here, right? So opening up an international slot, opening up a senior slot, 2 senior slots open now. And you know what that means for me, E, because I'm dreaming big here, right? Let's talk ceiling outcome for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Rigoni was the big hurdle of the 2 DPs that we needed to get out of those slots, right?
Yes.
I would think, again, and we can take a look at the cap sheet here in a moment, I still think, and Landon reminds me all the time, we probably have enough targeted allocation money to buy down Alex Ring. Whether or not the ownership was going to be willing to buy out Emiliano Rigoni was the big question. And again, if we would have known about the auto trigger, I think most of us would have probably said, well, yeah, they're going to do that because they don't want to be saddled with him in 25 either. But now to me, again, we're talking about who we have on the wing. To me, now this says, yes, DP, winger for sure, and now maybe second DP because Alex Ring, I think, is the easier roster mechanism to get him out of that spot. And we know when we talked to Tom Bogert on 4 episodes ago, something like that, when he came through again, shout out to Tommy Scoops. He was talking about the European-based sporting directors and how they prioritize the summer window. And that lines up exactly with what Rodolfo Borrell has been pointing us to this whole time. So again, ceiling outcome here is we end up with 2 DPs, whether their names you can't believe or not. It's just exciting to have those new bites at the apple, so to speak.
Yeah. Get them out of the DP spot too, brother.
Oh shit. Good point.
But yeah, to your point, man. And look, we also hinted at this before, like the amount of money you had to have shelled out in order to get Roto to come over here, be a part of this team, take this position. You had to have known that you were going to be investing further money after that point in time to allow the man to do what he came over here to do, which is to reshape this roster. So yes, I am on board with that. I can see Alex being bought down. We talked about it, I believe, last episode, that we now have this core of dudes who have been in this system for a while. If you like the system, if you hate the system, it is what it is. But they have been in this system for a while. They are familiar with it. Guys are understanding their roles much better than they have in the past. Those roles now become more defined. So I think that that is helping them as well. So like we said, man, like you bring in some sort of talent infusion here. Now it has to be a good, because I think this team has really good chemistry right now. This team believes in one another, supports one another. So I do want it to be somebody who we think can buy into what we want to do and be a part of like this effort that we're making to craft a lineup that is really cohesive with one another. But even just from the, I mean, like we're talking about the worst DP in the league, right? Like
he's up there. There's some bad ones, man. I think I would still rather have Emmy than Kevin Cabral.
Shaqiri is up there. Shaqiri is up there.
Yeah.
So it's like the hurdle you have to get over now to bring in more talent is so low. So it's like, but again, and I don't think Roto talks out of his ass, man. Like when he he doesn't pull punches like that. So like when he said, hey, you wouldn't believe the names that I've talked to that want to come over here. He wouldn't set himself up for failure in the future to like disappoint a bunch of people by saying that just to appease people. Like the first, I don't know when that was, like the couple months that he was here. So like, I just, something is coming. And like we talked about the feast maybe not being as grand as it was, but that is off the table at this point. Like, cause this was the move. That was the big move, the hurdle that we were going to have to fully commit to because we knew the Alex Ring situation was a bit more fluid and we could get out of that easier. Yeah, Roto? No.
What about Henry Wingo? Right? Is a senior spot there for him? Remember the guy we had that rumor about? Logan bringing that back up in the chat. I'll tell you what, Henry Wingo would make me disappointed.
Yeah,
just coming down from the high that I'm putting myself on right now. It's certainly possible.
Clogged at his position. I just
think Dessler is the guy that we're bringing in there, and I feel like we have enough depth that like I like Biru, and coming off this weekend, Kolmanich is just fine for me, especially as Biru's backup, and then you've got Johnny who can play on the left as well. H, what are you thinking?
I did want to say that in Emiliano Rigoni's defense is that if we had to keep him for the rest of the season, I know that at winger, since that's the spot that ultimately is going to open up and we're going to have to go get, right? I think at the 9, Rigoni wasn't that bad of a player. There was some spots where Rigoni could be placed and he was put in a maybe in a more comfortable place where he felt mentally able to execute at the best that he could. I know that Alex talked to him after the game in Houston, and he mentions him being at the 9, and Emmy kind of just pauses, smiles big, right? And when he was associated with that 9 position, I think that was the best that Austin FC fans got to see from Emiliano Rigoni in verde and black colors, because to be honest, he's gonna be remembered as one of the worst DPs in Austin FC history, and that's just it's unfortunate because stats will point that way, right? So that's going to be his legacy at this club. But if there's any light that we can shine at this guy, to be some positive about his time that he was here, is the fact that at the 9, I feel like he was more useful than anywhere that he was used in games for Austin FC.
I'm with that.
That's all I could say.
Just a bad fit it seemed like a bad fit for both parties.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think, again, outside of the like off the field stuff, being here with your boy. But again, that's not what this is about. Right. So,
yeah, I mean, it's somewhere his barber is just throwing punches right now. This guy's losing out.
Oh man,
$6,000 every 3 months, bro.
Right.
Now, honestly, I think one of the next big things, the most exciting thing going into the next couple of weeks is who is Austin FC is going to get to replace this guy. Rodolfo Borrell is potentially going to have a DP spot. He's going to have money in his pocket. He's probably going to get somebody that's contract is also expiring. I mean, the fact that you got Brendan Hines like earning $8 less than $200,000. You got 3 players pretty much earning what one guy earns from the Claudio Reyna era, which we're seeing how bad the Claudio Reyna era was with these auto triggers. Yeah. It's insane how much is now starting to really come out, to really just wrap your head around the Claudio Reyna era and listen to Austin FC fans when they say, yo, we're done with this guy. But I'm sure a lot of other people are also. It's very interesting to see what direction this club is going to go. And you can't lie. It's trending in a positive direction, mate. It's not, we're not taking steps backwards anymore. These are steps forward. You know what I mean? These are steps that are in a positive direction. And I think we really do owe that to Rodolfo Borrell. Everybody is putting their part, but this guy coming to Austin FC has really just changed the direction of this team's young life.
Absolutely.
It's less than 4 seasons in, but I think I said this to you, on the happy high of Saturday night, but Roto's the best money that Anthony Precourt ever spent, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be.
You said that. That was a good take, yeah.
The way it's going. And again, like I know we were super hyped on like every signing, I'm calling Diego Rubio a 10 out of 10 at the salary number, and I'm jumping for joy at Guilherme Biru, who I have no idea who he is in the offseason, because I was blindly putting my trust in Rodolfo Borrell. Yeah. But now that we do have almost half a season, right? Next Sunday, at the end of this next double game week, is halfway through the regular season. And you could drop all 3 games this next week, and they'd probably still be above where most of us had the expectations. So that just, again, the short time span that we have now, the proof of Roto's plan, we've talked about it before. All 4 of the field players that he brought in have been regular starters, right? So now that he's armed with potentially 2 DP spots if they buy down Alex Ring, and at least 2 U22 spots, because we know that those are decoupling from designated player spots in the summer. What can Roto do with the slots that are beneficial to the salary cap, right? The guys you can pay, U22s up to the max cap hit, they only hit the cap at $200K. The DPs, you can pay them whatever you want. They only hit at the max cap hit, which is $683K thereabouts this year. So again, to me, I would be very surprised if we don't bring in a DP this summer.
I mean, I'm 99% sure it's coming, and the thing is, I don't think we're going to hear anything about it. It's been so tight-lipped here
till it happens
with this crew, so it's just going to be like a bombshell hitting us here. What's up, H?
Talking about then what we have, is it time for CJ to really step up and say, hey, you know what? This is my moment. I've been waiting for my chance, because honestly, the kid seems hungry. I mean, I don't even know if I should call him a kid anymore. He has a home. This guy's a homeowner.
Yeah, right.
Kid. You know what I'm saying? So is this time for CJ Fodry to say, you know what? There's a void in this club. I need to make my name. I need to make my CJ Fodry name, and this is my time. Because the Josh Wolf might be looking at him, and Josh Wolf was also very critical of Micah Burton whenever he was asked about him, and I even thought I was like, hey, that's actually kind of harsh. But he threw a little bit of a message out there to everybody looking to come up ranks. He says, in this club you have to earn it, right? Because I believe it was Phil West that asked him and said, hey, are you going to look to maybe call up guys like Micah Burton for this like tough stretch? And Josh Wolf says, in this team you have to earn it. So was that maybe a shot or just a message to all the young players out there that now receive this news and are saying, okay, you know what, maybe it's my time to step up? You have guys like CJ, really the only one that really can can fight for those minutes. But Jimmy, Jimmy's also one guy that has a whole, there's a whole process that still needs to, follow for Jimmy, right? But he's also a guy that has talent. This guy has goal. He has impact. Can this be maybe a bit of a message for Jimmy? Not necessarily, hey, you're going to start tomorrow, but hey, there's a path. Follow the path.
Well, so I would say I agree with you. I personally don't think that the message should have been any different to those guys if it was right before this news, because the path is there. Like I think to your point about what Coach said, right? Like you earn your way. I think if those guys earn their way in the eyes of the coaching staffs between FCito, the first team, Rodo, right? We know what Rodo and his resume looks like developing young players. So like, to me, if he says the guy is ready to come up, which clearly he thought with CJ, I'm fine waiting on those other guys as much as I love, Micah and Jimmy and any of those other FCito guys that I may think deserve a shot, but aren't getting one right now. But also going back to what you said initially, H, like this is the time for CJ, and it's the time for a guy like Owen Wolf to say, hey, I can go play more minutes out on the wing because we're going to need it. And we also saw Danny Pereira play minimal minutes at the end of that game on the wing. We were sitting further back, but
that explains
I do think we're going to have to get a little funky on the wing at some point here in the next 9 games.
I also do want to point out, we're going through a really good time right now. Everybody's loving it. The players are posting, positive messages and stuff. But we also have Copa America coming up, where we're going to lose key pieces to this roster. We're gonna lose Julio Cascante. We're gonna most likely lose Danny Pereira. We could lose Diego Rubio. It's up in the air, but the rosters just got bigger. I think they can take 26 players, so you can take 3 more guys just for the hell of it, right? So with this news, Rigoni, maybe we could say that we're gonna lose him also, right, for the cup or whatever. He's really going now. I mean, we really have to bring in reinforcements in the summer to help plug in some of these gaps that these players are going to leave behind. And also, does Copa America throw a big enough wrench in Austin FC's plans to say, hey, you know what, this season we're going to kind of build. It's kind of house money of a season, and then next year we're really going to try to put our full ideas of who we want to be ultimately with this famous summer transfer window now underneath the belt, because everything's been building up to this moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everything, every single press conference, every single media day, every single tweet, every single post, from every single word from Rodolfo Borrell has been building up to this summer transfer window where he's saying, hey, give me time. I need at least 3 summer transfer windows. And we're just getting closer to it. We're getting one step closer. And it seems every time, every week that passes by, as we're getting closer to it, it's just getting better and better. The season is even getting better. The results are even getting better.
Yeah.
Right, which is kind of strange. It's kind of strange, right? It's not the end of it. Job's not finished. Famous words. Yeah. Job's not finished.
Yeah, far from
but
it.
But you can't help but be optimistic. And now something happens that everybody can agree that needed to happen. It's just good times right now for Austin FC. So I'm wondering though, with the Copa America that's going to happen here soon in 1 month, I think rosters are already being put out. What's going to happen when we lose key players like Danny Pereira, Julio Cascante? Yeah. You're not going to have Emmy. Emmy's going to be mentally checked out. Don't even count on that guy. Yeah. Don't even count on him. That guy's done. Mentally, he's done. He's probably going to get tatted up, or he's going to launch another band. But he's mentally checked out. And I'm just praying for this team right now,
dude. Yeah. If there's been a team that has shown resiliency, being willing, able to adapt, being able to like take an opportunity and say like, okay, this is who we have right now. Because let's go back and even look at how long we've been anticipating and wanting Emmy to come off these books. How impossible was it to move this man with that trigger in his contract? Like we had to have been shopping him. Like we had to have been shopping him to people. There's no way, right? Like we had to have been shopping him around. It's just impossible to move him there. And like, given how limited our numbers had been, there was multiple games, 3 or 4, where we didn't even fill out a full bench. You know what I mean? Yeah. This team still went out there and competed. So I don't want to be sounding overly confident in like, because that is a huge factor that's come into play with Copa America, where it's like, we're going to lose these guys who are key contributors. But again, your CJ Fodres, your Owen Wolfs, like, this is a bit of a youth movement. Let's see what happens immediately on this wing position. As soon as we get this different starting lineup going into place, we're instantly more athletic. We're instantly younger. And when you look at the way this team has had success this year and how we've played, And the way that Rigoni plays didn't necessarily fit that. You see how much success Hot Air has had on his side of the ball. And we don't really play out of the side where it's like we're getting the ball to the wing and then we're going to let you go ahead and try to dink it back and then get into the middle and beat somebody like that. No, the ball goes back into the middle. We try to find something over the top as well. So like we instantly get faster on the wing position. We instantly get younger. And it's just going to be all about seizing your opportunity. I know CJ has wanted his opportunity. He's been hungry for it. Here it is, brother. And like we're all rooting for you to step into it and go ahead and get the job done. And, I'm going to be supporting him and behind him as well, just as I was when we got Rigoni and I changed my name to Progoni E.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom in the chat saying, is it Jimmy time? Supplemental roster spot, help bridge the gap. I still think the international slot is the biggest hurdle there. And also, Jimmy was better in the preseason with the first team than he's been at a lower level, right? I think he ran hot for 2 weeks there. And we also in love with them, and for good reason, right?
Yeah, love Jimmy. Historically, though, how long has it taken us to get guys acclimated into this system? Even bigger names than Jimmy. Like we take our time with that.
Sure. Go ahead, H.
I wanted to say, and he kind of mentioned it right now about the international slot. I would kill to have Valentino well at this moment right now. I would be looking at him just the same way that I'm looking at CJ. I'd be saying, man, you know what? This is your moment. It's finally here, man. It's finally here, because that's one player that I know a lot of Austin FC fans can say, hey, we should have kept that guy. And it's difficult circumstances. I think there was a lot of things that went into it, but ultimately, just like he said earlier, the international spot really, hurt and affected Valentino's chances from staying here, because it wasn't about quality. We see how good the guy is. I believe there was some tweets coming out yesterday or going around yesterday of people that follow the Las Vegas Lights saying, I don't know what Austin FC was thinking by letting this guy go. He's already the leader of the Las Vegas Lights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and also not just that, there's also been highlights of goals from outside the box, very similar to what he did here for Austin FC, kind of in the preseason, what we saw versus New York City FC. It went off the post, then off the keeper's back, whatever. But right now, the point that I'm trying to get to is I would have loved for him to have been still with this club. And when you think about it, you can't really be sad about it. Valentino is no longer here, but we still have 40% of his contract. So whatever kind of sale happens in the future, we still have 40% of that, and that's going to come back to us in some positive way.
Absolutely.
Exactly what I was going to say there was leading Las Vegas Lights, I believe, in goal contributions, and you love to see it because of that sell-on percentage. I see Regla said we should have just loaned him out instead.
The path for him would be a little more challenging, though, right? To get some minutes with the first team, because in the midfield, we're pretty solidified. Now you're looking at that wing position, and that's way more barren. You got CJ, you got Finley. We've moved Owen out there. This gives us the full explanation as to why Danny moved out to the wing last game. This is 100% why it happened.
Look at what Tucker Chamberlain just said.
Yep, there's Tucker. So Danny P, Tendriusi left wing, Rubio striker, Obrian right wing. Pretty solid front four that will hold us off until the summer window and is objectively better without Rigoni. I mean, we'll have to see, man. Again, like I said, I think we're going to see some like funky lineups that we just haven't seen before. And the more H was talking, the more I'm thinking this is just such a huge opportunity for CJ. It feels like pressure's on here to make a big impact in this little window you got. But some people call it pressure. We call it reality here.
Hey.
So looking at these contracts, who is still left? We were talking about on last night's episode about how I didn't understand reading the description from the MLS Players Association with their salary guide about what these guaranteed compensation numbers are. I didn't understand, outside of a non-guaranteed clause, a trigger to escalate the salary in these contracts, why guys like Giassi Zardes went from $800K to $1 million, right? Why guys like Julio Cascante went from the max cap hit or slightly over, but got a significant raise. I believe he was like 693 last year, 773. These are Claudio contracts.
Yep. Playing 11 games. Oh my goodness, man. Wild.
What else? What else is out there that we don't know about? These. I don't remember if. Well, actually, I don't know if folks out there are old enough to have played the computer game. What was it, Minesweeper or something like that?
Yeah, Minesweeper.
That's what I used to do back in the day when I had nothing to do. Pinball, Minesweeper, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're kind of just like, clicking the little squares, and we're seeing Claudio Mess. And it's becoming a bit of a I don't know if it's a problem, because it's all kind of like in the past tense. We're kind of dealing with it now. It's something from the past, but it's really annoying to see, like, wow, like what was going on at the time when Claudio Reyna was here? Like, can you imagine if the trigger was never pulled and he was still employed by Austin FC? Because some MLS teams haven't had that spine in order to fire a name like Reyna when they're new to the league. They're probably scared of it. But credit to AP for saying, you know what, you're out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of took a long time, but in the end, they got him out of there, right? And now they went after one of the biggest names in the history of football as we know it. And just like Zach said earlier, you said that was the best money that AP has ever spent in the transfer market. Agreed, 100%.
I mean, we paid for it last year. There's no way
it started with Diego.
Exactly.
Right?
There's no way the shit that was behind the scenes wasn't seen when the Diego move was being made. There's just no way.
How many auto triggers did he have? How much are,
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't looked at the Galaxy's roster yet. I wonder if his salary went up.
We are slowly but surely. I mean, you got the ticker running down here on the bottom. You see all the names of what Roto's done. You move Lima, you part with Urruti. You now are getting off the Emiliano Rigoni contract. You all got all that going on.
Diego went up $250,000, by the way.
Holy shit.
Yeah. 1.3 for them now.
So, I mean, it's a direct result of that stuff. Like, this is it was
it's just 100%. Bad roster building. That's it.
It's horrible roster
Nothing
building.
against these players, right?
It's unfair.
Yeah.
Not that I would complain if somebody sent me a shitload of money and was like,
of course, it's not their
12
fault.
games. Yeah. But I mean, also, I just don't want it to get lost in the sauce right here. We already got Dessler coming in here. Like, he's coming too. Like, this summer window, now you sprinkle something else in here. Oh, I'm ready to eat, man. Let this man cook.
Yeah. I mean, the appetizers have been tasty, real tasty. Yeah.
I do have to leave here right now here soon, but I just want to say that finally the fan base is united.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. Everybody's saying, hey, finally this is happening. Finally, Emmy is out. Things still have to happen, just like we said, and we're going to have more conversation on this for sure. We're still going to hear what Moontower has to say. I think that news snuck in right on time for their shoot. Verde Pende will also be shooting. I think they drop Thursday. That's also going to be out soon. So I'm very excited to see what, different kind of views, different kind of takes we have out there. But everything is going to be finally. Everything is going to be Rodo's cooking. But I'm just excited to see what kind of different spices, what kind of different flavor everybody has. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to like different people's houses for like Thanksgiving. This person has this kind of style of cooking. This person has that style of cooking. It's just different,
I love it.
It's an exciting time, brother.
The possibilities are endless. Just like what you said right now. Gallagher at left wing. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
That's
Gallagher at wing again.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was super interesting to shift him back to his original position. There you have Dessler coming in.
Oh, he's right wing initially.
Well, a wing position, I suppose.
Anyway, he can do either.
Yeah. So that is that one caught my eye right there. Like, that is super interesting. And I mean, Hector's going to play. Like, we're gonna if you do that, you push Johnny up, you slide Hector in at the back at a fullback position until you get to this point where Dessler shows up.
Yeah, maybe.
But at that point, I'm anticipating that we have somebody else coming into place. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Could we see Guilherme Biru push up?
He's not that.
Could we see Guilherme Biru?
He's not that fast, right?
He's a big boy. He's like 6'1".
Could we play maybe like a back five and have Heinzike, Levaisinen, Cascante?
I mean, we've been talking about that.
Gallagher.
Yeah.
you know,
That
and those guys are going up and down.
Maybe
it's going to be
maybe.
interesting.
We've
Definitely speculated about that, and like we haven't busted it out.
We
Like,
speculated that we were building towards that, right? Like
True.
that would be the
One thing that we do know is that Cascante has played in a back five for his country, so that won't be new to him, right? Now, one other thing that I wanted to say was I would love to be a fly on the wall tomorrow in training.
Yeah, I always love
tomorrow in training is going to be.
I mean, to be honest, you could be a H on a hill out there.
That's true. I got to go to work though.
Yeah, yeah, same. But Tucker says he doesn't think he can play wing. Hey, good to see our boy P Mike in here. And man, shout out to H. I know you got to get out of here, but really appreciate you hopping on with us, man, chopping it up and kind of enjoying the night, trying to make sense of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. I mean, this definitely came out of nowhere. Today was my last day of school in my fourth year. I got one more to go, so it's kind of like cherry on top news. You know what I'm saying?
That's
there you
awesome,
go.
Man. Congrats, bro. That's fucking awesome.
I appreciate it. I mean, it helped. It worked out because it means that I got home early. The news dropped, and I caught it right on time. I was like, okay, cool. If not, I would have been in like school right now and not good.
They waited for you, bro.
Yep.
All right, brothers.
All right, H. We'll see you, man.
Brother.
Appreciate you. Love it, man. We'll shut it down here in a few minutes, but I know a couple other people still in the chat. Appreciate everybody who tuned in to hang out and everybody who was in the comments. Low bar in here saying, could see us going with the back five, Driussi, Rubio up top, dual strikers, move Obrian to the 10, Danny at the 8, Ring at the 6. Who knows where we're going?
Yeah, we're going to have to get creative. It's definitely coming, but big winner today, CJ. And
again,
all the fans.
yeah. I think winner in terms of the opportunity in front of him, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and more on Wednesday's episode. Thought we'd have a lighter week this week without the Wednesday game, but no, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah. It was a good bat signal call to get.
Yeah.
Live stream.
Well, all right, everybody. Once again, appreciate you tuning in. If you are catching us for the first time on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, hit that follow button, right? Hit the like button on YouTube. It helps us grow the channel, to reach more Austin FC fans to do things like this. When big news happens for our favorite club. So anything else for you before we get out of here, man? It's going to be a fun week, I think. You're muted, brother.
I was letting you do your thing, your little thing there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Man, I wish there were some leaks. I wish we got some crumbs from Roto just to know what could be coming here. And next shoe to drop, Alex Ring buying him down, and then you start to see the real overhaul. Your timeline might be boosted up. I might look like an idiot for saying yesterday I don't expect this team to compete for any sort of cup this year or anything along those lines. Not that I'm getting ahead of myself, but
no, not at all,
man.
We don't do that.
Shit. I am I'm ready to eat. So
yep. Same.
Thanks for everyone coming. Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys back here on Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Until then, he's E and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.